Have a couple of guests joining us from Twin Falls County Government. Lori Stewart with the Twin Falls County Sheriff's Office in the role of spokesperson. And she's been here before. Ken is sitting around the campfire. That's why she's here today.
Yes.
And Twin Falls County Commissioner Jack Johnson joining us as well. It's 8:34. We've got 63. Bill Colley on Magic Valley this morning on News Radio 96.1 FM, 1310 KLIX, and newsradio1310.com. Commissioner's here on somewhat short notice, but wanted to maybe address some of the issues that the public's scratching their heads and wondering about with this internet situation. Still not out of the woods by the looks of things.
No, we're not. And good morning, everybody. And thanks, Bill, for including me last minute here. I don't think I've been here for like several months. It seems like the last few times that I was scheduled to be here, something was going on somewhere, and it didn't work out. So I appreciate you letting me join in.
I think
today.
you may have been in Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah, I was on one of them. Then something came up on another one, and so anyhow, it's nice to be back here for an unscheduled visit, I guess. So let me I'll kind of talk about this a little bit. You know, early Saturday morning, we had employees start seeing a disruption in the system, some screen flickering and things like that. And as it progressed, it got worse and worse. So IT was called in, and immediately, steps were starting to be taken to secure the systems, because you don't know what's going on. Secure the systems and try and work towards if there's a resolution at that point. So as this keeps going, sometimes these things can cost a lot of money, so we get a hold of our insurance, iCrimp. They have experts under contract to help deal with any of these situations when it starts happening like this. So we've engaged them. We know we have malware that's gotten into the system, and it's has infected some of it that we know of, but not all of it. But they're continuing to work on. This is a lot longer process. I've never been through anything like this, as I don't think anybody in our organization has. But it's a lot longer process than I would prefer to have. But we are slowly getting systems up. I think Tuesday, phone system started coming back online. The network part is staying closed down because they still haven't fully identified what's going on there. We haven't received demands from anybody or anything like that.
So it's not a ransomware attack.
Well,
Let's clear that up.
Well, I'm not going to say 100%.
But if you don't have a demand, it's not likely.
No, we don't have a demand, but I'm not going to say 100% that it's not, because we just still don't really know. And so we're taking all the steps we possibly can to make sure the system's secure. And with that is, our employees' information, our citizens' information, any information that's in any of those systems, we want to make sure it's secure before those start coming back online at some point. And so the other, I was going to add something to that.
Joe Biden moment.
Ouch!
No, we got to get to 20 minutes, so you'll
felt
get back to
that, man. Gosh, yeah. But anyhow, we're working, and we've got, of course, our IT's involved, but we've got this team of experts that's working to help with that, and we need to know everything's secure before we start booting that back up again.
Any idea if anyone else is experiencing this in Idaho or anywhere else at the moment? I mean, because sometimes there's communication going back between different counties and systems.
So I don't know as far as this at the same time, but there have been a few local government entities, cities and counties, that have went through this. I know in the last year or 2 years have went through, something similar to this.
We went through something like that here 2 summers ago.
Okay.
And there was no demands, I guess, or anything like that were made, but it took a while to get things back up and running.
Right.
But they were literally able to trace, Dan Bongino says the word literally is overused, but this is true. They were able to track it down to the actual source out of 322 radio stations in the country. They found the actual source where it entered the system.
Wow.
So I guess, but that took weeks before
Yeah.
they could make that decision.
And I'm hoping we're not weeks out. I know I can almost 100% guarantee we're down the rest of this week on some of this stuff, and we'll play it by ear after that. The other thing I did remember what I was going to say. The other thing at this point is we have no indication. Looking at they can track data uploads, how much stuff is leaving and coming in and stuff, and there's been no disruption or nothing out of the ordinary there, so we don't have any indication that any information's left our systems at this point. That again, that's not 100% positive, but at least we don't have any indication at this point that it has, which is it makes me feel a little good at this point about that.
We've got more coming up. We're joined by Twin Falls County Commissioner Jack Johnson and Lori Stewart joining us from the Twin Falls County Sheriff's Office. It is 61. We're at 8:40. Bill Colley as well on Magic Valley this morning on News Radio 96.1 FM and News Radio 1310 KLIX. Guests joining us this morning from Twin Falls County. We've got Lori Stewart from the Twin Falls County Sheriff's Office and Jack Johnson from Twin Falls County Commission. We should point out he chairs the commission. He's bigger than the other guys.
Oh, no. I'm not bigger than anybody, Bill. I'm just one of us, man.
Hey, I was asked Lori before we even got on the air, and she answered this question for me already, but you want to assure people there's no trouble with emergency communications or anything like that.
No, absolutely not. CERCOM is not on the same system, so our dispatchers are up and running, and we're taking calls and responding to calls as we always have.
Is CERCOM, when I drive by, I see all those towers on Jerome Butte. Is that where it's pretty much based? Is that?
No. You want me to take
Yes,
that? Okay.
please.
I sit on the Joint Powers Board for CERCOM too, but it is on, what is that, 100 East Road? Just to the east of Jerome over there. You've got the high school, then you head south, you go about a half a mile, 3/4 of a mile, then you run into CERCOM there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not that I'm looking for it. I was just curious. I was up actually on the Butte a few weeks ago, and there must be 50 towers up there, and it's a confusing sight.
There's one really big tower in kind of what looks like is in the city of Jerome on the south side, and that's kind of a beacon to where the dispatch center is there. So
now, some county services are probably fine, right? Others are probably a little slow at this point.
Yeah. So DMV and auto license, those are on separate state systems. So that is still taking place. People can still get their business done there. Some of the planning and zoning, assessor, clerk, some of those areas, some of those services are diminished. They're not at full capacity right now. I know one thing for sure on the clerk's office, they can't do marriage licenses. So we're encouraging people if they need one right away to get that from another county. So I know that for a fact, but they're still able to do some other services like passports, and which I don't understand how you can do that, but not this. But that's part of the way it's running with that system right now. So.
Well, it's good to know about the marriage licenses, that there's an alternative, because in this day and age, a lot of people don't even bother with.
Right. That's true.
So look, this way convinces them to actually go out and actually do the traditional thing. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
How much is this ultimately going to cost the county? Any idea?
So at the end of so we have a deductible, okay, with our insurance company, and I think it's $10,000 per occurrence of different things.
So if it takes $100,000 to repair, the insurer picks up about 9/10 of that.
Right.
Okay, so we're not going to have taxpayers run through the mill on this one.
No. Now, anytime insurance pays something, your premium goes up a little bit, every year. So depending on how much is invested in that, we may have to have a little higher premium, on this. But as far as the more current out-of-pocket stuff it would be the deductible, and that would be, I'm guessing when we get everything resolved and figured out.
Some
So,
of this malware, and when we had the attack here, it was just simply somebody clicked on a link in an email that and sometimes they're disguised to look almost official.
mhm.
So we go through, I think twice a year we go through these courses, and every once in a while they test us.
Right.
I'll get an email, and if I click on that email, and this comes from the company, but the company, I get an email the next day saying you have to go back through the course again. You go back to the back of the line. But these things have become so common. I heard on a radio broadcast a few weeks ago that they're expected to just keep growing and growing and growing because a lot of this malware is just, it's not even, somebody maybe created it 20 years ago, unleashed it, forgot about it, but it's still floating around out there in the system.
That very well could be. Yeah, I don't know. We have similar programs. We've been, gosh, at least 3 years that I believe,
Yes.
Lori, that employees, you go through training, and you get test emails to see if you click on it and stuff, but um, you can't hit everything. And I don't even know if that's where it came from. I would suspect, but they haven't determined where this came from yet at this point. But I would suspect that's probably what it was. So
Yeah, and likely you do the same type of training programs too with everybody, just to try to be on the lookout for something that might be suspicious.
yeah, and those are actually managed through our insurance carrier, and they, we have 450 employees, and so you're constantly getting stuff throughout the month or the year. And I don't know what happens if you click on one, and I don't know if you go to the back of the line or not. I don't know.
That
But
would be a good guess.
yeah. But we have those systems in place, but we literally, I don't know, I'd be scared to harbor a guess on how many emails the county gets on a daily basis. But I would expect it is a ton. And you have filtering software and stuff like that, but that doesn't catch everything. Stuff still makes it through those firewalls and stuff.
Yeah, I get in one of my accounts probably 200 emails a day because people will also that if you gave someone some money one time for a campaign, then they sold your
Oh,
email address.
yeah.
So all of a sudden 20 people are writing you saying, "Can you write me a check?"
Right.
I've experienced. But then I go to the spam folder and there's even more. But if you figure a government, which is getting all of these questions from constituents and people like that,
Right.
you're probably talking, you could have 10, 20,000 emails coming through the system, if not more per day.
Yeah, I don't think that's unreasonable to believe. And I get emails from business. We have a lot of business partners in the community, and I'll get an email and not know I got it, and the business will get a hold of me and say, "Hey, did you get that email?" And I'm like, "No, I never saw it." But then I'll go to the spam folder or the junk folder, and the email's there. The system automatically put that one over there because it didn't recognize the user or something like that. And so then you pull it back out, and then from then on,
We're going to have to
it's
get a
good.
lot more careful, though. I think that they're saying, look for trusted sources.
Yeah.
I'm even suspicious of people who send me Facebook requests now. Some of them look very legitimate,
Oh yeah.
but if they don't have an Idaho address, I'm
Right.
not likely going to be clicking on those things.
Yeah. Well, I look at those, and one I go, I think I'm already friends with this person,
Yeah.
and but then I'll look at it, before I accept it or something, and it's always the same. It's like, here's the profile picture, and then there's 8 more profile pictures, but nothing else there, and I go, I don't think I'm going to click on that, even though I know the person it says it's coming from. It's probably not that person. So
Yeah. I think we got to, in the future, it's almost as if you've got this great technology and it's done so many great things for us and made things so efficient. But we may have to, in the future, scale a lot of it back just till we figure out a better way. I'm not talking just county government. I'm talking everywhere, a better way to really manage all of this.
yeah, yeah, and I don't know what that answer is. We've become so dependent as a society on electronic communication and receiving and disseminating and everything else that that it's kind of like breaking a junkie's habit. I don't know how you turn that back around, or you hope a better system's developed, I guess, or something to deal with it.
Well,
Well, go ahead.
technology is there for everyone, so it's there for good use and bad use,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And there are always going to be those people that are out there, looking to use it as a, as a tool.
Yeah.
Well, and we use it a lot because when I was younger, if I'd gone to Depot Grill, I would have gotten a newspaper and sat there and read it. Today, I read everything on the phone, right?
Sure.
And so, and then when you're in a lot of those places too, you often have to be. Some places tell you, if you're on an open network, somebody else could be looking at everything else you're
Mm-hmm.
looking at. And
Right.
that, because we were at dinner at a restaurant a few weeks ago, and when I logged on, I got that similar message. So we did a charity fundraiser. So.
Aha.
Oh. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's right. Yep. That's right.
I'm not making that up.
I'm glad you. No, I'm glad you remembered because I was going. Where were we at dinner? I'm glad you remembered it.
Yeah,
So.
the commissioner got a close look at what most people shouldn't see, and that's me eating.
No.
So
Yeah.
we've got a caller with us. Caller, you're on the air on KLIX. Go ahead. Good morning, caller. Well, okay, maybe we answered the caller's question. The number is 208-736-0300, 208-736-0300. I got a quick, to shift gears just a little bit, because, we mentioned Ken, he's at a campfire with the
Yes,
family, and
yes.
the kids are going back to school soon, so they're taking a little time. Had a conversation, personal conversation with him the other day, and he was talking about how tough this summer has been on law enforcement. And, the commissioner knows this too as well from his own experience. You go to so many accidents and so many drownings, and you do all of these things, and after a while, it wears on you, and there's no other way around it. And it seems that as we get into August, things are starting to maybe get a little bit better, but we're not out of the woods quite yet, are we?
We're not, and it truly has been a tough summer. Statistics, fatal crashes are just off the charts this year. I wish we had an answer for that, but absolutely, we're another month in, and really fingers crossed that things take a turn and change.
Is it just that the public at certain times maybe starts to let its guard down? We came through a period where I think everyone had their guard up during the pandemic, and maybe now summer came along and it's like they exhaled, and it's just.
That's a possibility. Absolutely. I think that, after COVID, people are out. There are more people out on the roads right now too. People are taking that breath, camping. People are traveling more, so our roads are more crowded. And maybe they are just more distracted. I wish there was an answer, but anytime you get behind the wheel, boy, I think of the responsibility that you're taking.
You know this from people you still talk to because
Right.
people you served with
Right.
in uniform, that it has been a taxing. I mean, PTSD that starts to come into this
Sure it
at that
does.
point.
Yeah. Yeah. It has been hugely busy, and yeah, I still have a lot of contacts, but I also serve on numerous different boards, like the Joint Powers Board for CERCOM, where we have chiefs and sheriffs from law enforcement, fire. We have EMS boards, paramedic advisory boards, a lot of these things, and it's across the board. People are just getting run ragged, and a lot of it, I think, is last year. Folks were, kind of locked down from doing their normal vacations, and they discovered the outdoors. And not just our own citizens, a lot of people from a lot of other areas just discovered our outdoors here in Idaho. And a lot of these folks don't know or aren't trained or have never been on a four-wheeler or drove a boat or done some of these things. And there's consequences sometimes, if you're not used to the terrain or the water currents or different things like that. So.
Well, and the traffic's always been heavy coming up 93 to go through here because people who want to see Idaho, if they're coming from the south, this is one of the main routes, other than I guess 15, right, that they're going to
Sure.
take. I just out of interestingly enough, I happened to be I was pumping gas about a week ago or so at the Oasis just across from the hospital and counting all of the out of state license plates. And I was chatting with a lot of the people that were there pumping gas as well. I just can't help myself. I rub my mouth all the time. But, again, the feeling I got was that a lot of these people didn't have anywhere to go last year. And now they're out, and the rental cars and vehicles, and so a lot of those were plates from odd places. But just I think that there's almost and you're so eager to get where you're going. It's been so long for a lot of people that I just think sometimes we don't call that a distraction. It's not like having a bee buzz you in the car, but still it's a distraction.
I think absolutely it's a distraction. I think that we're so used to, multitasking in our brains, in our bodies, and, we're 100 different places at a time. And I think that, driving is that one time that we really need to pay attention. With PSAs, that's all we talk about, distracted driving. So what does that mean? You're right. It's not just being on a cell phone. Distracted can just be that you're not really thinking. I mean, I think that all of us can think about a time that we've, been distracted. I was just telling my kids the other day that I paid for my meal at the drive-through, and then I drove away without my meal. So that's distracted driving, right? So absolutely, I think that I don't know what it's going to take. We talk about the deaths, we talk about the impact, and a lot of times I think until it touches you personally, we don't think about it. We don't think about those consequences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was,
I get PTSD after I leave the gas pump, Bill, and so I'm distracted from what it just cost me.
my gas might be a little more pricey there, but it's a good quality gas. As a friend of mine used to sell cars, he used to tell me, he said, there is a difference. He said, it's like buying shoes. You think sometimes the pricey shoes, you say, I don't know, but he said, they'll last longer. He said, the higher priced gasoline sometimes is a much better gasoline.
Yeah. I'm just talking any place. I get PTSD filling my tank up. So.
Well, it's for some people, it's more than $100 every fill up now.
Yeah.
And that impacts
depending on
everything
your
that you
tank
do
size.
too, because
Yeah.
you've got, county government and the sheriff's office. You need to have wheels on the road. There's no other way around that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Deputies put a lot of miles on the road. There's
Yeah.
no doubt.
Right.
We're pretty fortunate because a few years ago there was some pretty good foresight in the county and the sheriff's office, and so we bulk buy fuel at once a year, and the vendor works with us, lets us know when it hits its lowest price, because to us that's important because it's tax dollars we're spending, and so then we bulk buy tens of thousands of gallons of fuel to last through the year. So it helps out immensely in that area.
I think that same vendor might have a new supplier too.
Probably, yeah, probably. Hey, I know we're going to be hitting our end of
About
time
30
here,
seconds, yeah.
and I just want to reassure people we are doing everything we can to protect people's information, to lock down what's going on, and get it fixed. And if we get an indication that personal information has went out from our system, we're going to be the first ones out here telling people do something to protect yourself. But we don't have that indication yet. And
Well,
I just want to reassure folks.
Thank Commissioner Jack Johnson and Lori Stewart joining us. Lori, what do they actually call your title?
I have two hats. I'm the public information officer and I do victims assistance.
And you did that with us a few months ago.
Yes, I did.
So I want to thank both of you for coming by today. And we've got news at 9 o'clock and Pastors Roundtable coming up. It is 67 at 8:59 on Magic Valley this morning.
Thank you.